Good afternoon, everyone. I get to do the last session, and sorry that everything ran late. It's good to be here and good to see that GEC is trending. That's really exciting. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gil, and I am a shark on Shark Tank South Africa. Some of you may have seen it in South Africa and somewhere else in the world. I'm also the EY Entrepreneur of the Year this year, which I'm very proud of, and I'm the co-CEO of a company called the Creative Council Group, which is the largest advertising agency in Africa. I started it 15 years ago, and a couple of years ago we sold it to Publicis, which is the third largest communications company in the world. So I went from being an entrepreneur to being an employee. So I've kind of learned it all. And it's been an interesting ride, it's been an exciting ride. And they came asking me to come and talk to you guys about the brave new world, the new world economy, so to speak. And so that's what I'm going to speak to you about. I'm hoping that the presentation comes up. Otherwise, I'm just going to stand and talk, but I can do that. Voila. So it is a brave new world. And the way I see it is that every company in today's world, regardless of what industry is in, is a tech company. And in fact, every division within that should see itself as a tech startup in today's interconnected world. To some, it sounds like a huge opportunity. To others, it's a death knell. And I guess you need to work out what it is for you. So about 20 years ago when I started entrepreneurship, I went to a mentor. Her name was Louise Smith. And I said to her, I was a young kid, I was 20, and I said to her, listen, can you give me any advice? What is it that you need in order to become a great entrepreneur? She looked at me sternly and said, well, to be a great entrepreneur, you need two types of balls. One, a set of steel balls, and two, a crystal ball, so you can look into the future. Well, that may have worked 20 years ago. Unfortunately, in today's world, looking into the future and predicting it is simply not enough. Because of Google and Facebook, as you saw it earlier, you can type in macroeconomic trends for 2030 in China, and you'll get the same answer if you're living in Seattle or Soshanguve. No, predicting the future is simply not enough. In today's world, you need to be able to write the future. Robert Frost, in his famous book, the poem, The Road Not Taken, he talks about the importance of taking the road less traveled. Well, let me tell you something about Robert Frost. He wouldn't make it longer than half an hour in today's interconnected world. You see, the problem with taking the road less traveled is simply that a few less people took it ahead of you. No, you need to be carving new roads. And I am going to tell you right here, right now, how to do it. It's actually very simple. So you're welcome to write it down if you want. Take a picture off the screen. Here it is. The secret to surviving and thriving in today's interconnected new world is you got to be stupid. There it is. I mean it. You got to be stupid. You see, we live in a world of paradigms. We're chasing smart all the time. Everyone's trying to be smarter than the next person. I've got a friend of mine, Jared, who was telling me, he was boasting how his son had just been signed up to St. John's. And for those of you not from this country, St. John's is a very prestigious school, very hard to get into in Johannesburg. And he was proud that he got his son in. But here's the catch. They came to sign his son up in the maternity ward. That is mad. In the States, there is a whole cottage industry that's dedicated to helping you get into Harvard from a young age. A fifth of all of America's presidents came from Harvard. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, yes, in today's interconnected world, you have to be thinking ahead, and you cannot be just smart. You have to think stupid. Because our brain tries to help us by creating paradigms. It looks for patterns to help us work out this environment, but that's the very problem that we face. We don't see things right in front of us. Let me give you an example. How many of you have recently seen your nose? Nose? I don't mean in the mirror, like literally. Just do this with me. Just look at your nose. For me, it's easy. I've got a big nose. Okay? So here's the catch. When you're a baby, your eyes see your nose all the time. In fact, even now, it's right in front of you and you can see it physically. But your brain learns within the first few weeks of being alive that it's not necessary to see your nose, and so omits it from your perception. It's similar to a concept called ships not seen. I don't know if you've heard of that. Basically, how ships not seen is a scientific term. It refers to situations where someone has something right in front of them, a concept, a theory, an idea, and even though it's right in front of them, they simply can't perceive it. Well, that term, ships not seen, comes from this.
We match patterns that already exist within ourselves through conditioning. So a wonderful story that I believe is true is that when the Indians, the Native American Indians on the Caribbean islands, saw Columbus's ships approaching, they couldn't see them at all because it was so unlike anything they had ever seen before. They couldn't see it.
When Columbus's armada landed in the Caribbean, none of the natives were able to see the ships, even though they existed on the horizon. The reason that they never saw the ships was because they had no knowledge in their brains or no experience that clipper ships existed. So the shaman starts to notice that there's ripples out in the ocean, but he sees no ship, but he starts to wonder what's causing the effect. So every day he goes out and looks and looks and looks, and after a period of time, he's able to see the ships. And once he sees the ships, he tells everybody else that ships exist out there because everybody trusted and believed in him. They saw them also.
Ships not seen. The Native Americans were obliterated because they couldn't see the danger right in front of them. And let me tell you, it wasn't the first, nor will it be the last, because heroes, companies, and nations have been destroyed because they simply couldn't think out the box. So what's going to change this time? Well, I say the answer is you got to be stupid. Don't be smart, be stupid. And why is it so important now, more than ever before, to be stupid? Well, Gartner Research 2 years ago came out with a study that said that by the year 2025, a third of all jobs will be lost in the world as a result of technology. A third of all jobs. They even mentioned which technologies it would be. Driverless cars, drones, 3D printing, contour framing, robotics, AI, big data, cryptocurrencies. All of these are technologies that will cause us to lose our jobs. And I'm not talking about just blue-collar workers. I'm talking about white-collar workers as well. Everyone here. Let's just think about this. In 8 years' time, if the person to your right and the person to your left still has a job, you are out of work. Martin Roberts talks about the importance of being creative in order to stay one step ahead. Well, let's understand what jobs are at risk. Let me give you some examples. So, driverless cars, well, what is the most obvious job that will be lost as a result of that? Drivers, of course, but it doesn't end there. Let's start thinking about it. Driverless cars means we won't need traffic cops. We won't need traffic court judges, traffic court lawyers. In fact, we won't need nurses and doctors that help with trauma relating to car collisions. That means big wings will be closed in hospitals. We don't need the actuaries to work out the insurance for medical insurance, nor for car insurance. In fact, that's actuaries and accountants and auditors, all gone. The list goes on and on. We don't need as much parking lots. We don't need parking bays. Therefore, we don't need as much construction. We don't need as many roads, and so on and so forth. It's scary. Let's look at drones. So, don't think of drones as those scary things up in the sky. That's a small application. Drones will be utilized in everything. Deliveries, agriculture, surveillance. The biggest employer in South Africa in terms of a sector is the security sector. Now think about this. A security guard is human. They can walk straight, back, left, right. Drones can also do up and down. Humans must eat and drink and sleep. Drones do not need to. Humans can use their eyes. Drones have cameras, they've got infrared, UV, movement detection, the works. And when it happens, it'll happen quickly. In fact, it's even risking my industry. That is an advert in Mexico at a traffic jam, and those are drones that were lowered into this traffic jam on the highway by Uber. And what it says is, wouldn't it be great to be in an Uber right now? So technology is pervading everything in life. AI, ooh, everyone's scared of AI, and so they should be. There is a real risk that as a result of artificial intelligence, we will one day not exist. But be that as it may, until that happens, AI is changing the world. If you've read a financial document, a financial report in the past 6 months, there's a very good chance it was written by robots. We ourselves are about to start using robotics as well, using AI, and it's so exciting. In fact, there is an interesting story about how they marketed a movie called Ex Machina. I don't know who here has seen Ex Machina. It's a movie about an AI robot. But the interesting part is how they marketed the movie. So they created a Tinder account using the profile of the actress, Alicia Vikander, or rather her real character in the movie called Ava. Tinder, everyone refuses to say that they admit that they know it, but it's a dating type of app, and you swipe to meet someone. So here's what they did. They put Ava up, and Ava started meeting and interacting with keen young guys. She'd start asking them questions. What are your desires? What do you look for in a woman? What does love mean to you? And after a long conversation, she recommended that they meet up. And she referred them to her Instagram account so that they could establish a time and place. Very excited and eager, they would go to the Instagram account only to find out that, in fact, the entire conversation and interaction was all artificial intelligence, no human involvement. So, if the oldest profession in the world is at risk, let me tell you what isn't. Robots. So we know of robots in the manufacturing industry. It's been around for decades. I'm not talking about those kind of robots. I'm talking about robots that'll clean, that'll look after you, that'll play with your kids. I'm talking about robots in the home for everyday use. And there'll be many applications for them. Stroke victims very often have the issue that they need to be aggressively rehabilitated right after the actual incident. And the big issue is that nurses and doctors grow impatient with them. And those first few hours, days, and weeks are the most important in order to rehabilitate them. Nurses get impatient. Robots don't.
Good morning, Connie. Hey, Connie, have you thought about your exercises? I bet you're feeling strong today. Hey Connie, are you ready? I brought my workout clothes. Seriously? You can do better than that. might be a robot, but I am not blind.
Connie, I may be a robot, but I'm not blind. That video always moves me. So here's the deal. You see, being stupid is not about being crazy. It's actually about being brave. Because all of life's great brave people started off being considered stupid. Let's have a look at an example.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
I love that ad because even though it's from 1997, it's so apt. It's Apple's ad, and Steve Jobs was so smart. He came into the company, and it was 6 months away from liquidation, and what he did was he launched that as his first ad back, basically intimating that Apple, small and weird as it is then, he stated a vision for what being brave and stupid is all about. Let's actually understand some stupid people out there who we call brave. Chris Columbus discovered the Americas, got on a floating wooden plank to a place that didn't even exist and was hoping to come back and tell the rest of the world about it. Stupid. Rosa Parks got onto a bus and instead of sitting in the back where she belonged, sat in the front with the rest of the white people. Why? She would have gotten to the next destination at the same time as the white folks. Stupid. Let me give you another one. If I told you that you can invest in a startup that got 173% growth in its first 2 years and took double-digit market share in its sphere, would it be something you'd get excited about? Yeah? Well, it's not Google, it's not Facebook, it's the EFF. And I'm not making a political statement here, let it be clear. I'm not pro or against, I'm just saying that Juju is stupid. The iconography, the outfit, the branding, the little clever terms and terminology that he uses have all allowed him to grow. And there's obviously the question that lingers, is it brave or is it stupid? Well, I'll let you answer that. But it's out there. And these people are people that change the world. You see, if you want to make it, if you want to thrive in the future world economy, you need to convert things. You need to do the things that others won't do and see that which others won't see in order to create a brave new world. So we've spoken about brave, but let's understand this concept of new. We live in this upgrade generation where everyone must get the next iPhone, even though there's no difference between the previous iPhone and the iPhone before that. I don't mean newish. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking to really make a difference. You need to go to new. That kind of new. That's what I'm looking for. Let me give you some examples. The e-reader. Is it new loads, a whole lot of books onto this reader. It's great, and you can carry it around and go to the beach and choose from thousands of books in any given time. That's great. It's newish. As for never reading ever again, to me, that's new. So that's about reading. What about travel? So some of you may have heard of the Hyperloop. This is Elon Musk's genius idea. He claims that he can get people from LA to San Francisco in 35 minutes, what would normally take someone 4 hours to get to. And they're already starting trials in Dubai. So, the Hyperloop. New? Well, newish. Never traveling ever again. That's new.
Well, when the experiments were done to determine which view of reality was the right view, the Einsteinian view or the more standard quantum mechanical view, the experiments came to a pretty definitive outcome that Einstein's view is not the right view of reality, that the quantum view really does describe the experimental data, which, at least in the most conventional interpretation, does mean that what you do over here can, in this weird quantum mechanical way, affect something over there. Now, if that's the case, what can you do with this? Well, one thing that people have been able to do is quantum teleportation. That is, you take an object over here and interact with it in a certain quantum mechanical way that allows an influence to happen over there, and the influence over there allows you to recreate the object that you started with over here at that distant location. Object starts here and, in a sense, winds up over there. Quantum teleportation. Now, people have only been able to do this for single individual particles. They haven't been able to do it for people like you or me. But the very idea that a particle can, in a sense, be teleported from location to location, that's pretty spectacular.
Misawa Okawa is 115, and she's currently the Guinness World Record holder for living the longest. She says that sushi and sex helped her get there. We are able to retard the aging process.
Make a wish, Norm.
Desserts, madam.
There. Whoa. Blow it out.
Retarding the aging process, newish. Immortality, now that's new.
Throughout time, we mortals have gone to remarkable lengths, trying to stop the aging process, seeking to delay death, if not avoid it altogether. Science has uncovered a key to endless youth, an elixir of life itself.
We started to think there must be some new process that nobody had ever heard of before. It wasn't in the textbooks and wasn't anything that people had described before for DNA. And so I wanted to hunt this down. You know, the story's not over yet. We're not at the end of the line, that's for sure.
This is not just going to cure aging, it's going to literally change the world.
This is something that has huge impact on something that matters to almost everyone, which is how long we live, as well as how well we live.
Aging Aging is a disease and it needs to be rectified and solved, and so it will soon enough because of technology. And you may say all of this is science fiction, but the truth is that everything 50 years ago, everything that we do now would have been considered science fiction then. And because of exponentiality, it'll happen in our lifetimes. Nothing is off the table, nothing is implausible, because it is a brave, new world. But let's understand this concept of the world. Are there any opportunities left in this world now? You know, with all these issues, terrorism and violence and overpopulation and an aging population, are there really any opportunities left? Well, if you're north of the hemisphere, I'm not sure. But if you're living right here, right now on this continent, let me tell you, a world of opportunity awaits. By the year 2100, 3 billion people will be added to the population of Africa, from 1 billion to 4 billion people. During that time, 40% of the world's youth population will call Africa home. We plan to extend life expectancy by 2100 to 78 years, and that's if we haven't discovered immortality. By 2060, 1 billion more people will be added to the middle class. Let's understand, all these people will need roads, railroads, schools, malls, homes. They need to be fed, educated, and entertained. And there is an opportunity now to leapfrog all the technology and to start providing African solutions for African problems. A perfect example is M-Pesa. M-Pesa is a money transfer system that started in Kenya 9 years ago. It now accounts for 40% of Kenya's GDP transactions. 40%. Money transfer as a result of Safaricom's genius. It's made Safaricom the most profitable company in East Africa. 85% of the population uses it regularly. It is a perfect example of how Africans came up with solutions which now have developed to the rest of the world. And there are many other such examples. This is the place to be, and now is the time, because it is a brave new world. And so, being crazy and being brave and stupid is a non-negotiable. Doing the things that others won't do and seeing the things that others won't see is paramount. And doing it right here on your doorstep and taking advantage of the opportunities in Africa is a no-brainer. The Apollo landed in 1969 on the moon. Now, the average iPhone has 32,000 times the speed of any Apollo-era computer. So what's your excuse? I say it's a brave new world. So now, let's go out and suck the marrow out of it. Thank you very much.